I thought that while Tony was out here, I would get his feedback on something. I bought a 69 GTX for a client. It was intended to be purchased and restored for the guy. It's a real GTX. The gentleman we bought it from said that the engine was not numbers matching, which is fine. This was going to be a kind of like a Graveyard Dreams car. But when we got the engine out and turned up on its side to check the VIN, it's completely wrong. It's for another car entirely. It's not just a typo. It's not just a mistake where they put an H where there should be an L. It was a complete mistake. So that's why he's out here. I want to get his opinion. I want to DNA this thing. I want to investigate what's happening, why it's happening, and get his feedback. You know, you've seen a lot of engines. He was doing this before I was. So 1969 Plymouth GTX. What was the standard base engine in that model?
444 barrel high performance, 375 horse Super Commander.
What engines were available optionally on the 69 GTX?
Only the 426 Hemi.
What was the alphanumeric code for the 426 Hemi in 1969?
In the VIN?
In the VIN.
J.
Yeah. What's the alphanumeric code for the Super Commando 440 in 69?
L.
Okay. Could I have, if my uncle was working at the Dodge plant putting these engines together or wherever that was, and I wanted a 383 in my 69 GTX. Got all the money in the world, plus my uncle works there. Could I get it? Would they do it?
You couldn't order it like that.
The assembly line would not put a 383 in a 69 GTX.
No, I can't see how.
When you look at this plate, this machined off area, this ID pad, what do you see? What are these first numbers you see? Letters and numbers.
Okay. Well, you have E, which stands for the model year 1969.
Okay.
It started in 1965 with A and went up.
These numbers, these were put in here when the engine was assembled?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So E meant that it was intended for what model?
1969 model year.
Model year.
Which started earlier.
Yeah, it started in August of 68.
Right. There were engines, I've had engines that
The
were assembled back in July.
I have seen the same thing too.
Right.
Not a lot, but
right.
But they're there. So E, and then the next three are
440, the engine.
Cubic inch displacement.
Inches, yeah.
Okay. Down here in the bottom, the first number is a
8.
And what does that represent?
August.
August. Built in. Engine was assembled in August of 1968.
Right.
And then what day?
13th.
13th day. And what do these two say and mean?
HP means that it was assembled as a high performance engine. So that means it got higher compression pistons, different camshaft.
But the carburetor, the camshaft,
the windage tray, exhaust manifolds, valve springs, distributor.
So they needed to let everybody know as they built this engine out that it was designed to go in an HP.
Right.
And is a GTX a high-performance car?
Of course, yes.
In 1968, was that the first year they started putting the vehicle identification numbers on the engine?
Yes, 68 was the first model year that they started putting the Carz VIN number on the engine.
And how many of the 13 characters?
It'd be the last 8.
The last 8 of
The last 8 have the year, the assembly plant, and then the 6-digit sequence number.
For the car.
But in 68, they were on top of the back of the motor.
They stamped it right back here.
Right, in the rough casting, very hard to see.
Hard to read.
Hard to see in the car.
Right.
Hard to see in the car, and even out of the car, you're struggling because it's on a rough cast.
Okay, so that was the first year they put the VIN on the block for Chrysler. In 1969, did they continue to put the VIN on the block?
Yes. 69 is a weird year for that.
Okay.
In 69 model year, they had the full VIN, all 13 characters, in order.
So cars that were produced from, say, the beginning of August when the manufacturer started building them, somewhere through, let's just say mid-year.
Yeah, probably, I think January is the cutoff.
They didn't just put the last 8 characters.
No, they had the full VIN,
they
so
put the full
you could tell it was a 2-door, a 4-door, a convertible.
Got it. Yeah, you actually knew what it came out of,
yeah.
Not just what assembly plant it was at.
Right.
Okay, you want to come on around here and we'll take a look at this thing. Have you ever seen anything quite like that?
No.
Not quite like that. You've seen mistakes. Have you ever seen? And I'm not even going to say that's a mistake at this point. I want you to tell me what you're seeing right now.
Well,
at a glance.
Well, it's a full VIN.
It's a full vehicle identification number.
But it's a full VIN for a 383 Super B. But 383 H is the VIN code. I mean the engine code.
For a 383.
For a 383 high performance in 69.
What's WM?
Right. The W is the coronet body style.
Coronet body style is represented by the W.
Right. M is the medium price range, which in the coronet body means it's a Super B.
Okay.
23 is 2-door hardtop.
Okay.
H is 383 high performance,
How many horsepower?
335. 9 is the model year, 1969. G is the assembly plant, which is St. Louis. And then the sequence number, the VIN to the car, 108614.
Okay. If you were to raise this up in the air and only have the ability to look at it from the bottom, maybe you couldn't even see the casting numbers very well, and you saw that stamped in there, you'd think you're looking at a Super B, a 69 Super B. If you didn't know anything else, if I just brought you out with blindfolders and I said, look at that number.
Of course.
Of course, right? That's what it calls out. But we've already established it's a 69 GTX, which is 440 is the only standard engine in it. Hemi is optional.
Right.
Okay, here's where things get weird. We've seen situations where one letter is either omitted, 2 letters are transposed, sometimes more than that, maybe 3 letters. These are human beings that are doing this. But this guy not only put a full vehicle identification number to a 1969 Dodge Super B with a 383, which was the standard engine.
Right.
That same crack shot, amazing person, take a look at the transmission that was bolted up to it.
WM23H9G 108614.
So, not only did he stamp the engine, which is a 440 and could never be mistaken with a 383, I guess, unless you were drinking a little bit on the assembly line, but he carried it into the transmission. It should have, this car being very early, the full vehicle identification number to the GTX.
Which would have been like an RS23L9.
Yeah. I believe, and you know these parts a little bit differently and better in some ways, I don't mind admitting that. The actual transmission part number, 2892093, is the same for a 383 HP and a 440 HP.
And an A12 car also, yes.
An A12 would have got it as well. So, we know the engine's correct for the car, we just have a discrepancy here in the vehicle identification numbers.
Yeah, I'd like to see what the 10,000 day calendar decodes to as far as the date the transmission was assembled.
Because when was the engine assembled?
August 13th.
August 13th of 1968.
So this should be in the same approximate
So we would
area.
think that this one would have been about the same time.
Right.
All right, let me get my book and we'll check it out. So the part number is a...
Right, the cast number is the 2892093. I think they started to use it in 68.
They did, you're right, yeah. 1968 B and C body, 440 and 383 HP. They're saying 440 late. And then same part number, 2892093. So basically, as far as our 69 model year goes, it was the only transmission they offered behind a 383 and a 440, an automatic. But this is the correct transmission
Yes, absolutely.
assembly number to go into our 69 GTX.
Absolutely.
All right, now the 10,000 day calendar.
2568. 2568. I'm sorry.
2568, it's all right. August 8th.
Fits right in with the motor.
And that car was
within
built,
5
the
days of
engine
each
was
other.
built on August. Just to be clear, this transmission was assembled.
August 8th, 1968.
And it could have been the next day, they finished it, or the day before, but that's the time zone. And then August 13th,
5 days later.
5 days later, they assembled the engine for it. What's the sequence code at the end?
108614.
Here's the VIN off of our 1969 GTX. Not only did they put a 69 Super B vehicle identification number on it, but they gave it the sequence number for the 69 GTX.
So it's so it's got the right VIN.
Absolutely, except for what it
From the
came out
nine-
of and went into. I haven't seen one with that many mistakes on it in all my days. I've seen a lot of stuff, but I haven't seen one like that. With you there, I have a question for you. The folks that are out there that might say, well, that's easily explained. It was a restamp. Okay, we'll look at that and we'll see if there's any evidence of that. A restamping, first of all, is a federal crime. You get to go to prison for fraud when you do stuff like that. If you're doing it for the intention of pulling something off. If you make a note of it and you say that this is the machine shop ground off the numbers on my 383, so here's a picture of it before and here's a picture of it again, you put them back in so you can see them, fine, no problem at all. What motive in the world would a restamping fraudulent criminal have in putting the wrong VIN completely on a 69 4-barrel GTX that isn't worth that much in the end anyway?
But first of all, the police department or the theft department or FBI, who's ever looking, they don't care about the first part of the VIN.
Couldn't care less. They care about
They care about the
sequence.
last 8.
Right.
And the last 8 is correct.
Right. So they could get away with it from that standpoint, but what's the motive in it? That car would be better off if they had put no numbers in it and just put a date coded 440 in it like it's supposed to have.
But this is the right engine.
I believe it's the engine it started life with.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I have no doubt. We'll agree that this one, and you get some good pictures, I'm going to send them to Dave Weiss, and I want him to be able to put them in his book.
Oh, yeah.
As an example, don't freak out when you see something like this.
Never say never.
Never say never. You can see those milling marks in there, right?
Yeah.
Swooping down like that.
Yep. The milling marks are what's done when the block is being machined.
Right.
You know, so that's there. And those marks are, pretty specific, I guess.
I would say so.
It's not what you would get today at a machine shop. I'm not saying it couldn't be duplicated, but again, I can't see any motivation for this. This is a freak.
It's a freak.
It's a freak, it really is.
The guy on the assembly line could have been drinking. It's always possible. Or he could have been in a hurry, or just plain not paying attention. I've seen double stamps and triple stamps because somebody did something wrong.
I've seen them stamped up above.
I have too. I've seen them in that boss. Yep, absolutely. But to see that like that, the guy was reading some kind of a work order that called it out.
To be super critical, I could say the pad seems a little thin, but again, it's just probably you look at 10 different engines and they're not going to all be exact.
The depth from the boss that they went down like this area right here.
Right. It looks like this may have been machined a little bit more than some others.
Here's a 70. Now it's a 70, so it only has the last 8 characters. But look at the depth. I see what you're saying. The depth of this mill is definitely shallower.
That's a little extreme, but still, it doesn't make it not correct. It just, when you see something odd, you're overlooking for stuff too.
But the marks in it are consistent with that 10-inch mill head.
Yes.
So if somebody went later and they ground it down to stamp new numbers into it, you'd lost those milling marks.
Right.
So the mill made those marks. That is the way the height of that boss.
And one thing, the fonts are a little bit different from Lynch Road than they are at St. Louis.
It was just an old-fashioned screw-up. That's all it was.
So this is just a freak of nature, or a freak occurrence.
It is.
Because you have the correct last 8 of the VIN, which is really the most important part.
That's the money stuff.
That's what's on the end. That's what's on the body numbers.
That's right.
That's what
the hidden number behind the core support and the trunk lip on a B body and upper cowl and
right.
core
But that's
support
what
on
law
a B body.
enforcement cares about. That's the last 8. At the beginning, they don't care what engine it came with.
They're going to check it. They're going to read those off, and it's going to match.
So what do we think happened? I would say, well, the guy screwed up. The guy who was stamping made a screw up. Now, whether the previous car was from a 383 Super B, and for some reason he just changed, the last 6, or maybe the Super B was ended in 613, and he goes, okay, I'll just change to 614. Next car, boom.
Is there a chance there's a 69 Super B 383 car built at St. Louis that could have the VIN on the 383 stamped with this car's VIN?
I don't believe so, no. I think that would have been caught.
Because think about the location of the pad alone, something would have stopped them, right? Yeah. They're stamping in E383 down here.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's...
Well, this was done, no, you see, this stamp was done, what we're looking at on top here, that was done at the engine assembly plant. I assembled the engine, I'm the last guy on it.
That's what
boom, I stamped it.
Right.
Now it gets shipped off to St. Louis.
Right.
So now the St. Louis guy gets it. His job is to stamp VINs. That's all. That's his job.
That's his job.
Right. He doesn't know what engine he's stamping. He's supposed to know.
From this view down here, if it's on some kind of a carrier or assembly line, it looks like every other big block that went by, and probably every small block at that point. You're not looking at manifolds.
Yeah, I don't know how the assembly line exactly ran, but this could have been in a K-frame assembly already, ready to go in the car. And just before it does, that's where he stamps them.
I don't think so, because you couldn't get in there and stamp those in there. But I think it was getting ready to go on to one. Bottom line is, what is your final analysis at the end of the day?
I'll say correct numbers matching engine, freak stamp.
Yep.
But because the last 8 matched the car, I'm going to say it matches.
And 108-614 is awful early.
Oh, yeah.
Probably very much made in August.
Hands down, yeah, that falls in perfectly.
So it all adds up to the fact that it was a mistake on the assembly line.
Yeah.
Is what it is. So it actually kind of makes it cool.
Yeah.
It's not a cubic dollar car where you just have to fly in Jesus to give it something. I mean, it's a great car.
And it's a conversation piece.
And it's a great conversation piece. So
I'm sure the owner will have pictures of the VIN on the windshield.
Prepared for everybody that's ready to call it a non-numbers car.
That's
okay.
Neat. That's cool stuff.
Good job. Well, you're probably getting hungry, huh?
I got plenty of reserve. I'm good.
You're looking good, T. Did you lose a couple pounds, yes or no? The truth.
Well,
here's what I do. I usually wear a bunch of extra padding, and then when I say I've lost weight, I take it all off, and I go, yeah, I've been working out this summer, I'm getting huge. Hello ghouls, Mark Warman here, the Ice Tray from Graveyard Carz. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, drop a comment down below, and subscribe to our channel. We have fantastic stuff coming up, and some of it you've never seen before. I gotta go insult people. Hey Alice!